Hey, it's Deb Putnoy today, and we're going to do some color mixing today, meaning that we're going to learn about color and mixing color. So on here I have red, yellow, blue, red, white, and black, and I'm going to talk about the color wheel and what these colors are and how you make different colors, and then we're going to do some color mixing. So our primary colors are, and I'm going to paint them as we go. So yellow is one of our primary colors. You can see it, I hope you can see it right here, is our yellow. So yellow is primary, meaning that we cannot mix a yellow. We get the yellow right out of the tube. So there's our yellow. There's some water right here, and I'm just gonna put yellow. So this is our primary. And then we have the primary color of, just wipe my brush down here. We have the primary color of blue. So blue is another primary color. I'm gonna put blue right over here. Nice, this is a nice blue. So we have blue, yellow. So we have three primary colors. So we have blue. And then we have, can you guess the third one, which I have right here? Let me get a clean brush. Our third one is red. So those are our three primary colors. And like I said, you cannot mix these colors. They come right out of the tube. Now there are different kinds of blues, yellows, and reds that you can buy. The red that I'm using today is a naphthol red, and the blue is an ultramarine, and the yellow is a Hansa yellow light. But you can, when you're in the store, you can find whatever red, blue, and yellow that you have. So this is our red. So these are our primary colors, okay? So when we want to mix a color, we take the two primary colors. I'm going to show you. So if we take the red and the blue, do you guys know what color that makes? If I'm mixing my red and my blue together, and usually what you want to do is you want to mix in to the lighter color. So I'm going to have my red here. You can see me. I'm going to take my red. I just have a paper plate here. You don't need anything fancy. And I'm just going to mix a little dollop in here of the blue. And if it's a little red still. So if we mix red and blue together, we get a purple. So that's a kind of a reddish purple. I'm gonna add a little bit more blue. And again, it depends what red and what blue you're using will depend on what kind of purple you get. So there's my purple, and I'm gonna put that right here. So when I mix my red and my blue together, I get purple. Okay, so my purple, I'm gonna put purple here. So we put those two together there, and we get purple. Hope you're seeing this okay. Oh, can you see the purple down there? I'm gonna make sure you have everything. I want to make this nice and big so you guys can see it. Okay, so then if I'm gonna mix my yellow and my blue, do you guys know what I get? Let me know if you have an idea of when I mix my yellow and my blue, what do you think I get? What color can I make when I mix my yellow and my blue together? So if you guessed, well, we'll do it and then you can see. So I'm gonna I'm gonna have my yellow here, and I'm just gonna take a little bit of blue so it doesn't overpower the yellow. And then I mix it in, and look at what I get. I get a green, which is so fun. So there's my green. Didn't need a lot of blue to make that green. And I'm gonna put that green right here. And we can make all different kinds of greens and all different kinds of purples. And we're gonna do that in a minute, but I wanna start off just showing you. So there's our green from our blue and yellow. So I'll put green here. Okay, and then our last is our red and yellow. So we're gonna put our red, and we're gonna put our yellow arrow. And what do we get when we put red and yellow together? What are our guesses when we put red and yellow together? Any ideas? So if we put our red and our yellow, so here's my yellow again, and I'm gonna mix the darker color in. So I'm just gonna put a little dollop of that red in there. Oh, and this is one of my favorite colors is orange. So we get a nice orange color. You see that there? And the more yellow I mix in, the lighter it will be. So then I'm gonna put my orange right here. Okay, so now I want to talk to you a little bit more about color because there's so much to talk about when you're talking about color. So we have our orange. So we have our primary colors are here, right? So these are our 3 primary colors. And then these are the colors that when we mix them together, we get green, orange, and purple. Now, if you're painting and you want your painting to be really vibrant, then you want to think about your complementary colors. Your complementary colors sit right across from each other. So my complement to purple is yellow. So that's one of my complementary colors. I'm just going to write complementary, complement. I'm not sure if I'm even spelling it. I'm usually a good speller, but okay, complementary. I'm not sure if it's spelled right, but those complementary goes across here, and then we go across here. So red and green and orange and blue. So those are all my complements, meaning that if you think about like maybe Christmas, right? And you have the red and the green, those colors really pop when they're next to each other. It really makes it vibrant. Or if we have orange and blue, that was my high school colors. And everyone had t-shirts and jackets that were orange and blue. Those colors make it really vibrant when they're next to each other, or a yellow and a purple. So I want you to think about that when you're making your paintings, where you're making, areas that you want to pop and make really bold, and then other areas where you maybe don't want that. So when you start to mix across, so these are my complements. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to put this aside for a minute. So if I want something to really pop, like say I want, can you still see my, I'll do it this way. So you would paint next to each other, say the orange, make it a little orange, a little more orangey. Oh, so this is not going to be something that's perfect, but I just want to show you. And my brush is a little messy, which is all good. You can see also the great texture that you can get with like a wet brush. Okay, so if I have that, my orange next to a blue, it will really be a vibrant. So my goal for you guys is to start to really experiment with your color. I don't like when people use colors right out of the tube. I like it when they get really experimental with their colors. Now I can kind of play around with my blue and add a little bit of white. And make it a lighter blue. So just a little bit lighter. It's like a little. So I can make a little bit lighter blue. Right? And then I can play with my orange and maybe for my orange I want to add a little bit more red. And add that yellow back in. So that's kind of add a little white to that. So that's a very dark orange. It's almost like a reddish orange. It's got a little more red than orange. But what I want you to start to see is that you can play around with like your orange and blues, your reds. I could put the green on the other side of that red. So it's a very reddish orange. And if I wanted to, I could play around with my green on the other side and see how that pops. So you can start to see how things get very interesting when you're using these very bright colors. Now, say I wanted to play around with my black and my white and my gray tone. So if I mixed my orange with my blue, what do you think would happen? What do you think would happen when I add that in? I start to make these neutral tones. So this is like a brownish color. So if you think about mixing, you can get some really beautiful browns when you start to play around with mixing the three colors together. So that is when I mix them all together, I start to get like a brownish color. Now remember, I haven't really added my white or black yet, but I could add some white to that. And then I start to get this other nice neutral tone. It's kind of a great gray tone. So what I want you guys to do is to start playing with mixing your colors. And I'm going to show you how I want you to do this. And if you're in my studio, I'd have you mix 30 of each color. And I'm going to show you, there you can see I'm just going along here. I'm playing around with this kind of brownish, grayish tone. And this isn't in any special order, but I just keep adding. Now I could add a little black to that. I haven't added any black to anything yet. And then I start to make it a darker gray. Okay, you can hear my dog upstairs. I have a puppy, a new puppy. Okay, so we're playing around with the grays. What I want you to do though, so you can see about playing around with complements. And then here we mixed our complements together and we started to get these gray tones. So what I want you to do now is I want you, and you can do this on any kind of paper that you have, it doesn't need to be big paper. I want you to start to fill up. And like I said, if you were in my studio, every person that's in my studio does this, whether you're an adult or a kid, because I want people to come up and use their own colors. So here's my paper, and I want you to mix as many different kinds of, so I usually say I want you to mix at least 30 different kinds of greens. And then on another piece of paper, I want you to mix another 30 oranges and another 30 purples. So the way you start to do that is I have my palette here. And I think I'm gonna start, what paint do I have the most of here? I have so maybe we'll start with the purples. So I have my purple that I started before. So I'm gonna just add a little blue. So this is kind of a reddish purple. So you can start however you want. I've had people do this in so many different ways. But you can just start with your purple. And then I need to make at least 30 purples. So I'm gonna add a little touch of blue to that purple. And then make my next purple. Now sometimes they don't look that different, but I know that I added some blue. And then maybe I'll add a little bit more to that. So see how it's getting like to a bluish purple over there. Maybe I wanna add a little bit of white. So at the beginning you might be really orderly, and then you might just kind of like do it in different ways. Like you only want to use though the red, the blue, the black, and the white. So you're going to mix those to try to get 30 different, I hope you can see these, there you go, 30 different kinds of purples. So I'm going to just keep adding white for a little bit and see where that takes me. I mean, everyone's going to do this in their own way. I've had, adults, kids, they all figure this out in a different way, but I say at least make 30 different versions. Now that's can be a lot. So I'm starting to add the whites. These start to look a little bit the same. Maybe I'll add a big chunk of white here. And then maybe I'll add some red back in. So then it's like this color, still in the purple family. Looking a little bit on the red, so then I'll add a little blue. So if you've ever looked at those color, like when you go into like Home Depot and you see all the color squares, that's kind of, you want to get this range. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I haven't even started to add the black yet, so I'm still adding here. And just by doing this, every time you add a little something, it's going to make it a little bit different. And you could do it in squares. You don't have to keep it in circles. I tend to do circles, but you could do squares, you could do triangles, however you want to do the 30. So this time I'm going to add a little bit of black and see what happens. And add a little touch of black. A little bit more black. It's like a blackish purple. Almost looks like a bruise. So I'm going to add a little bit more blue to that. And you see, I'm just keep mixing and seeing what comes out. And I love doing this. It's such a fun combing. There's my purple. It's a little bit on the gray side. But again, different than the other ones that I made that were light. If you don't mix it well enough, it will get streaky, and that's okay. I mean, okay, so I need some more dark ones, it looks like. So I'm gonna add some more blue. Get it, bringing back that other kind of purple. There's a lot of different kinds of purple. There's the bluish kind of purple, there's the reddish kind of purple, and I'm gonna bring back some of that black. And then I'm gonna bring in see, there's so many different, again, I have more light than dark, so we'll count up in a minute how many we have. I'm gonna add a big chunk of blue. See, and I'm just playing, it's like almost like a recipe. You're just trying different things out. I really like that purple. But this is like my darkest, or that one's my darkest. Add a bunch more black in here. Okay, so there are my purples. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 29. Oh my God, I didn't even count it, and I did it for 30. So there's 30 purples. And I probably could go on and fill up. I mean, you really can make an infinite amount of these colors if you do them little bit by little bit. And you could do this with tempera. This is acrylic that I'm using, but I want you to do the same thing with orange and with green and see all the different range that you could do. And then if you get adventurous in it all, you can start doing your gray tones as well. So you could start to mix all the colors together and play around with when you get those gray tones. But I really want to see what you come up with when you mix these colors together and what happens when you do that. So try out all these different ways to mix a color.